When it comes to back pain, people generally default to doing a lot of core strengthening exercises in order to provide stability for the low back. Now, this is not a wrong approach, and I am in no way advocating that you should not do that. What I'm going to say is there might be something else going on here. Specifically, let's look at the gluteus medius muscle. Now, in terms of the low back, what this muscle does is it helps keep the pelvis and the low back lined up when you're doing any sort of dynamic activity. I saw someone last week who had about a year of low back pain just on one side, and then after evaluating him, I noticed that one of his hips was significantly weaker than the other one. Now, what happens here is that whenever you're doing something like walking or stairs, when your weight is on the leg that has the weak hip, the pelvis will pop out towards that side and cause a little bit of a twist in the low back. Now, it's not just walking or stairs. You could see this with something like squatting. When they have a weak hip, when they squat to full depth and then try and go back up, you'll notice that the hips will shift towards the stronger side because the weaker side can't support the weight. Now, obviously, this pulls the back out of alignment, and then repeated exposure to that improper alignment is what causes pain. So how do we fix this? What I would start with is called a sideline hip abduction exercise. Simply lay on your side, stack your hips directly on top of each other, and then you're going to lift the top leg up, making sure you keep it straight the whole time. Common problems that people have when doing this is they like to point the toes up towards the ceiling. Now, this biases the wrong muscle. It actually biases something called the tensor fasciae lata, which is not what we want. What we want is to turn the toes down slightly, lead with the heel, and then lift the leg slightly behind you as you lift it up towards the ceiling. You should feel a burn somewhere in your lateral glute if you're doing it correctly after enough reps. If that is too easy, what you can do is add a weight. If you want to try a different exercise, you can do what's called either a monster walk, where you put a band around your legs. The farther down the legs you put the band, the harder it will be. And then once you're in position, you're just going to walk, keeping the feet far apart, taking little steps as you go. You can also try what's called a lateral band walk, where you walk sideways, very similar to the monster walk, just take some little steps. Make sure you keep the feet parallel, so don't let them turn out at all during that exercise. And again, if you're doing it correctly, you should feel the burn on the outside of the hips. Now, you might notice a burn on one side compared to the other. That's because one hip is weaker than the other. So you'll notice the burn on the weaker side first because that muscle can't handle as much stress as the stronger side can. So if you incorporate these exercises into your routine and you are having a lot of back pain, hopefully this will help you, and hopefully it'll help keep things lined up long term.